p.m. The Lunchroom. Informative, enlightening, provocative, engaging. The Lunchroom on RCI. Food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Pleasant good afternoon to you, and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Thursday, the 25th of July, 2024. This is program number 1218 of the Lunchroom, and I'm your host, Calixte George Jr. Now, of course, in addition to 101.1 FM on radio, you can also get us at our website. It is rcistlucia.com. That's our URL, and you can download our previous shows on that platform as well. You can also get us on Facebook. We're streaming live there, and you just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International. And please be sure to like and share that link with your friends and family. If you want to call in and tell us what's on your plate today, the number to do so, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And our WhatsApp number, you can message in to 724-0008. You can also call in, especially if you're overseas. You can use that number. Again, it is 724-0008. Now, a bit of history for today. Well, back in the year 306 AD, Constantine I was proclaimed Roman emperor by his troops. 1814, on this day, the English engineer George Stephenson introduced his first steam locomotive. It was a traveling engine designed for hauling coal on the Killingworth Wagon Way. 1943, on this day, Benito Mussolini was dismissed as Italian Prime Minister and arrested on the authority of King Victor Emmanuel III. 1944, during World War II, Operation Spring, one of Canada's bloodiest days during the war, with 18,444 casualties and 5,021 people killed, Canadians killed on that day. 1997, on this day, saw scientists announce the first human stem cells to be cultured in a laboratory using tissue taken from aborted human embryos. And on 1999, on this day, in 1999, on this is the 86th Tour de France, and Lance Armstrong won the first of second consecutive Tour de France titles, but was unfortunately later disqualified for drug cheating. We now head across to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A plus. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to my nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Jugozi Lanes, and Flag Street in Viewfort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program for today. And of course, lots of interest still being placed on what is going on in the United States of America. Just last week around this time, one would have thought that it looked like it was going to be an inevitability that Donald Trump may very well have become the president of the United States for the second time, given that he was leading consistently in the polls over President Joe Biden. Lots of individuals had perhaps already given up. And the major issue at play was, in fact, the age of Mr. Biden. Lots of people felt that he was getting to a point where he may not have been able to hold on and to be coherent and in leading the country. Now, it's interesting, of course, because what we've now seen, and of course, the reality is that if such a thing ever occurred, and one would have potentially seen a transition from a president to a vice president, and these things have happened in the past. Well, he has taken a decision to bow out up front, and that, of course, did not come easy for him. By all indications, lots of people suggested he was very upset about the whole matter, but did it in the interest of the public and the interest of the state. He gave an address for the first time last night, and I do believe we have that clip available of President Joe Biden of the United States explaining his rationale for stepping aside and allowing now and giving his support to his vice president, and who is the presumptive Democratic Party nominee for that upcoming general election. So let's take a listen to that speech.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office. In this sacred space, I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents. Thomas Jefferson wrote the immortal words that guide this nation. George Washington, who showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think it's more important than any title. I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. We can never forget that. And I never have. I've made it clear that I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those rare moments in history when the decisions we make now will determine our fate of our nation and the world for decades to come. America's going to have to choose between moving forward or backward, between hope and hate, between unity and division. We have to decide, do we still believe in honesty, decency, respect, freedom, justice, and democracy? In this moment, we can see those we disagree with not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Can we do that? Does character in public life still matter? I believe I know the answer to these questions because I know you, the American people. And I know this, we are a great nation because we are good people. When you elected me to this office, I promised to always level with you, to tell you the truth. The truth. The sacred cause of this country is larger than any one of us. Those of us who cherish that cause, cherish it so much, the cause of American democracy itself, must unite to protect it. You know, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. It's the best way to unite our nation. You know, there is a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now. Over the next 6 months, I'll be focused on doing my job as president. That means I'll continue to lower costs for hardworking families, grow our economy. I'll keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose. I'll keep calling out hate and extremism Make it clear there is no place in America for political violence or any violence ever, period. I'm going to keep speaking out to protect our kids from gun violence, our planet from climate crisis that is the existential threat. And I will keep fighting for my cancer moonshot so we can end cancer as we know it, because we can do it. I'm going to call for Supreme Court reform because this is critical to our democracy, Supreme Court reform. You know, I will keep working to ensure America remains strong, secure, and the leader of the free world. I'm the first president in this century to report to the American people that the United States is not at war anywhere in the world. We'll keep rallying a coalition of proud nations to stop Putin from taking over Ukraine, doing more damage. We'll keep NATO stronger, and I'll make it more powerful and more united than any time in all of our history. I'll keep doing the same for our allies in the Pacific. You know, when I came to office, the conventional wisdom was that China would inevitably surpass the United States. That's not the case anymore. And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war. We're also working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world. You know, we've come so far since my inauguration. On that day, I told you, as I stood in that winter, we stood in a winter of peril and a winter of possibilities. Peril and possibilities. We were in the grip of the worst pandemic in the century, the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. We came together as Americans. We got through it. We emerged stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. Today, we have the strongest economy in the world, creating nearly 16 million new jobs, a record. Wages are up. Inflation continues to come down. The racial wealth gap is the lowest it's been in 20 years. We're literally rebuilding our entire nation, urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities. Manufacturing has come back to America. We're leading the world again in chips and science and innovation. We finally beat Big Pharma after all these years to lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors. And I'm going to keep fighting to make sure we lower the cost for everyone, not just seniors. More people have health care today in America than ever before. And I signed one of the most significant laws helping millions of veterans and their families who are exposed to toxic materials. You know, most significant climate law ever in the history of the world. The first major gun safety law in 30 years. Today, the violent crime rate is at a 50-year low. We're also securing our border. Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office. I've kept my commitment to appoint the first Black woman to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I also kept my commitment to have an administration that looks like America, and be a president for all Americans. That's what I've done. I ran for president 4 years ago because I believed and still do that the soul of America was at stake. The very nature of who we are was at stake. And that's still the case. America's an idea. An idea stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It's the most powerful idea in the history of the world. That idea is that we hold these truths to be self-evident. We're all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We've never fully lived up to it, to this sacred idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I do not believe the American people will walk away from it now. In just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I made my views known. I would like to thank our great Vice President, Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. When you make that choice, remember the words of Benjamin Franklin hanging on my wall here in the Oval Office, alongside the busts of Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. When Ben Franklin was asked, as he emerged from the convention going on, whether the founders have given America a monarchy or republic, Franklin's response was a republic, if you can keep it. A republic, if you can keep it. Whether we keep our republic is now in your hands. My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, Claymont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. But here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities, of dreamers and doers, of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you. The great thing about America is here, kings and dictators do not rule, the people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. You just have to keep faith, keep the faith, and remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's simply nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. So let's act together, preserve our democracy. God bless you all. May God protect our troops. Thank you.
And of course, that the sitting president of the United States of America, Joe Biden, who has headed out of the upcoming race for the White House, for the presidency of the United States. And of course, making the point that kings and queens don't rule America. It is the people who, of course, can elect those leaders. And of course, the issue of age has been a big one. And of course, two individuals who were running previously, of course, the person of Joe Biden was the older of the two, heading into that race against Mr. Donald Trump. Now, with this entire matter turned around, Mr. Trump now is the one who would end up being the octogenarian in power if, in fact, he wins the upcoming general election there. And of course, he is now heading against, more than likely, Kamala Harris. Of course, the issue of age has been one which has come up in many institutions, and of course, in some places, of course, you've got ages for retirement, even with the for certain positions, even like in religious positions, like in the Roman Catholic Church, you as a cardinal, you have to retire after a certain age. So after a certain age, you don't actually have rights, voting rights, and what have you. So it certainly does have some implications there in that regard. And of course, we have seen in those types of monarchical systems, the leaders quite often end up dying in office. And that has all sorts of implications. As we know in the past, you have to sometimes have a sort of a de facto person ruling, in when of course, and that brings up a lot of questions as to what is really going on behind the scenes and whether in fact the person can do the job and what have you. We of course have had one instance of a leader dying in office here in St. Lucia, and that of the island's first prime minister and first premier, the Honorable Sir John Compton. And he, of course, died at the age of 82. Currently, around the world, you find that, in fact, the oldest, the top 10 oldest serving leaders in the world, well, the oldest, we're going to start with the 10th place there is actually the president of Namibia. And he was born in 1941. He's 82 years old, 82 years, 344 days. That is Nangolo Mbumba. Then the president of Italy. But of course, remember in Italy, the there's a head of state, which is more of a ceremonial office, whereas the real power is actually held by the prime minister of Italy. Now, in that instance, the president of Italy is 83 years old. The president of Ireland, again, Michael Higgins is not really the person with the real day-to-day power running it. He is 83 years old. The Emir of Kuwait, that is Michal the First. He's 83. Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, is 85. Harold V, the king of Norway, is 87. Pope Francis, who of course is the head of the sovereign state of the Vatican, he is 87 years old, 220 days. Then comes the king of Saudi Arabia, Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, and he is 88 years old. And here as well, there's another example of where you have a situation of where you have a king, but in fact, a lot of the day-to-day runnings and power is actually held by his son. Mahmoud Abbas is also the president of the Palestinian Authority. He is 88 years old at this point in time. He's second on the list. And the president of Cameroon, Paul Biya, is the oldest currently serving head of state. He's 91 years old. 91 years old, 162 days. And in fact, he has been serving, he assumed office in 1982. Many of us were not born as yet at that point. And he was born on the 13th of February, 1933. In the case of CARICOM, if we have a look at the CARICOM leaders, and I'm not including the situation in Haiti right now, where you still have a sort of a very transitional situation. The former, person who was still kind of holding on as President Ariel Henry. So we're not looking at Haiti, but if you look at everybody else in the mix of CARICOM, currently, from what I'm seeing, the average age of Caribbean leaders is currently at 60. So that's the mean, 60 years old. And the median is 58. So that just gives you an idea as to where Caribbean leaders fall in that regard. Right now, as it stands, the oldest head of government in the Caribbean is actually the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves. He is 77. And he's already served 3 terms. Be interesting to see how, if of course, whether in fact he will end up going for another term. But he certainly has been around for, I think, from since 19. It's more than 3 terms, isn't it? It's maybe 4 terms. He's around since 1997, 98 or thereabouts. Then Keith Rowley, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, he is 74. The Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Davis, is 73. Then next comes our Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre. He's currently 69. Then you have the President of Suriname. He's 65. The Prime Minister, and that's Chan Santoki, by the way, the President of Suriname. Johnny Briceño, who's the Prime Minister of Belize, is 64. Mia Motley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, is 58. Gaston Brown in Antigua is 57. Roosevelt Skerritt in Dominica is 52, and he's in fact been around for a number of years now. He coming in at a very early age. I think he's perhaps into his fourth term, is it? Then Andrew Holness of Jamaica is 52, same age as Mr. Skerritt, but has not been around for as long as him. And then some newcomers into that head of government setting. Terence Drew, Dr. Terence Drew, who is now the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. He is 47. The Prime Minister of Grenada, the young lawyer Dickon Mitchell, he is 46. And the President of Guyana is, in fact, the youngest of the CARICOM's leaders right now. He is 44, Irfan Ali. So that just gives you a little bit of a breakdown and idea of how our leaders fare in terms of age. And of course, that has been an issue sometimes in different political settings. And of course, sometimes it's could be perceived as, in terms of the ability to be able to handle the pressures of running a country, of being a head of government, whether the person has the energy. Quite often, of course, the person will have lots of experience and lots of competence and qualifications, but then the other aspects there, of course, of energy, of health, to be able to continue that process is sometimes brought into question, and that, in fact, is perhaps the big issue that, in fact, forced this sort of shift, but as well the politics of it as well. Perhaps if Mr. Biden was going against somebody who was older than him, might have been a different issue. Perhaps if he was going against, if the situation was different, you may have been different issues that are brought to the fore. But that is, of course, the nature of politics. That's our dish of the day. When we come back, we'll be taking in our weather report.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A plus. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses, Lanes, and Flag Street in Viewfort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
That's what goes to the War Point 1. It's now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath. The forecast for St. Lucia Valley for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from the east near 23 miles per hour or 37 kilometers per hour with few gusts. The weather partly cloudy to cloudy and hazy with a few brief showers. And there is an advisory in area which raises small craft operators and sea beavers are advised to exercise caution due to locally rough seas and reduced visibility. The forecast for Little Antilles, partly cloudy to cloudy and hazy with widely scattered showers over the southern Windward Islands and areas further south. Elsewhere, fair to occasionally cloudy and hazy with a few showers. And the tropical weather outlook. A weak tropical wave will continue to cause a few scattered showers, mainly over the southern portion of the region during the forecast period. Another tropical wave located over the eastern tropical Atlantic is moving westward at near 15 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. A plume of Saharan dust haze will continue to cause a reduction in air quality and visibility across the eastern Caribbean over the next few days. Tropical cyclone formation is expected over the tropical Atlantic during the next 7 days. And this was the weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bath.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to our program today for the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call is 452-3046. So we try to go to the phone lines at this time to take in some calls. Good afternoon. Okay, looks like we actually lost that call. But of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. So let's see if we can take in a call at this time. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, Mr. George. How are you doing?
Very good, caller. How are you doing?
How's your family?
Very blessed, thank you.
Okay. No young ones yet?
Yes.
What, girl or boy?
A girl.
Okay.
Yes.
Congrats, my brother.
Thank you very
Congrats.
much. Thank you very much.
You know, I was, reasonably a partner the other day asking him, what's the most beautiful word you ever heard? You know? And I don't know, boy. He's trying, he's looking, He's looking, he's searching. I tell him, well, boy, maybe if they had asked me that question some time ago, I would be looking out for some kind of word, God or some kind of thing.
Right.
But you know what life teach me? For me, personally, the most beautiful word is daddy,
Sorry.
Eh?
Now, it's interesting that you're raising that, eh?
What?
I said it's interesting that you are raising that because right now, one of the attacks that's being made on Kamala Harris right now is that she has not, she doesn't have any biological children. That's what some Republicans are now trying to put on against her. And so because she doesn't have biological children, she somehow doesn't understand life and whatnot. And she herself, in fact, said that one of the greatest titles that she has is not vice president, but what her children were calling her stepchildren, Mamala, which is kind of like Kamala,
so
Mamala.
She said that, eh?
Yes, she's on record of saying
she said
so.
That. She
Yes,
actually said that, eh?
yes.
Yeah,
So-
but that's a great piece there, boy.
So and
I think that will touch a lot of people.
and in fact, So
Okay, all right.
her husband's ex-wife, right, who's actually the mother of her two stepchildren, actually came out in her defense just yesterday, explaining that Kamala is a very devoted and loyal and loving mother. And it's interesting in her situation because they said that, it's almost like it's three of them together co-parenting
Okay.
and raising up those children. Who I mean, they're much older now. At the time when she got married, I think they were just teens, and now they're older. But yes, it is certainly a very a wonderful achievement, definitely. Becoming a parent.
Well, you're there calling you daddy yet, not yet.
No,
You're
no,
old
no,
enough.
no, no, no.
But soon you'll hear that beautiful refrain, man.
Thank you.
Congrats, my brother.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, but that's the whole issue of age. How you take it?
Well, it's
given that you're in the constant presence of an old sage.
yeah. So I think it's a sort of thing that, especially within some systems of government, you actually have, I think, a place where some of those individuals who may be of age, so to speak, can still play a very important role.
Yes.
In terms of providing guidance and counsel and advice. So whereas in the United States system, their president is head of state and head of the executive all in one. But you don't really have that kind of separation. But in the other systems, like what you have, even here, where you have a head of state who is sort of is not necessarily just ceremonial, but the person's role is more of an advisorial role. The person can provide guidance, and the person can potentially step in if something very extreme happens in terms of the runnings of government, but does not have to be there in terms of the rigors of the day-to-day running of government.
I agree that.
So I think that in our system we do have a way of in fact doing that, and it's interesting because even in the case of although it has to be changed, of course, in the UK system where you had the House of Lords, this was more a matter of hereditary rights to be there. But it could be, that you have a sort of a upper house which is more a place for elders, a house of elders, so to speak. Of people who could potentially provide that.
Our upper house is the house for aspiring
politicians.
It's like a house for aspiring politicians people.
Yes. Well, it has become more that way. Yes.
Looking to be in elective, politics still.
Oh, and some people may say even for politicians who have lost.
Exactly. But they still, feel
but they're
they
still
have
hopeful,
currency.
right? Yeah.
They have capital, So, but I think this whole issue needs to be balanced, And yes, sometimes you feel, well, boy, and I mean, people ask you all the time, boy, I think these people should give you a job, and I say to myself, yes, you could avail yourself to share what your experience had come out of your experience and your knowledge. You could share that. Be ever willing to share that. But to actually be in control,
Excuse me.
I don't like that option. And you see, we're caught between a rock and a hard place. There are some people like, they won't go. They won't go. They don't want to go.
They want to hold on to power. They want to hold on to the
title
decision.
mean more to them than daddy or brother, or just their name. Calixte George, Suku. At the end of the day, that's what you have to live with, Calixte.
Yes, indeed.
That's your title, And if you don't handle that properly, who you are as a human being, because at the end, don't care how much good you feel you have done, or good you feel you could still do. I think it's human nature that a generation wants to, I don't know, maybe it's different in African countries and other cultures, wants to be led by people, their peers. Because even in the justice system, they tell you the jury comprises of, your peers. What that
Right.
means?
People who are close to you in terms of usually, in terms of
Exactly.
age and experience, and yeah.
Exactly. That's where we're missing the trick a lot. We're looking for solutions from top bottom for say the crime situation,
Right.
of which the victims and the perpetrators are mainly young people. But we kind of, I don't see, I can't feel to the extent that we really flagging and insisting on getting solutions from that same group of people.
Mm.
You understand? And that is a
But
problem.
what I would also say though, as a society, especially a society like ours, that is a relatively young society in that sense, one, and also a society that has experienced quite a lot of erasure of our identity, of our history, of knowledge of this idea of continuity. Is not really. So, like in China, they can talk about thousands of years of Chinese civilization, and in India, they can talk about thousands of years of. We in the Caribbean, effectively an extension of Africa, have had that cut, right?
Exactly.
And so we seem not to have as strong an appreciation for heritage of
no, we don't.
of identity from that sense of even the issues of
particularly
respect.
St. Lucia,
Particularly St. Lucia,
yeah,
yes.
because even you look at the other Caribbean islands, I don't think governance has changed as much, as in St. Lucia, when you talk about all them wars. Because, for example,
yes, exactly,
Barbados
exactly.
Barbados, I mean,
they had stability.
Be surprised that Barbados
yeah.
have better governance and these kind of things than us.
Right.
Because
yes.
Barbados we have been with the English system for
right
for some time now, but we moving from English to French,
Mm-hmm.
and now we see that whole culture being replicated where we have red and green, red and yellow, red and yellow, red and yellow. But that's not given to long-term development. You understand that thing? So I don't know. I mean, people have a right to vote who they want, but God help us if every 5 years we changing government. I'm Calixte. The kind of things we see going on is start, stop, start, make
right
to break.
Right.
Culture.
Right.
It's not doing anything for us. It's costing us a lot. Because because we could see that the dismantling of certain projects and have to go and start. It's really not helping us.
Yeah.
Now, like you say, if you have a tradition, like perhaps look at there are places where, but even a place like China that traditionally believe in the elder folks, they're looking. I mean, Xi, and he's a pretty young. I mean, he's not an old man.
Xi is pretty. He's up there in age now.
And you have say a place that I don't know if you remember Dominican Republic some years ago, Joaquin Balaguer, who I think it was is it Joaquin Balaguer or one of them? They brought back to run the country. He was blind and in his 90s. I mean, that one is stunning. That means that man there's something so special about him. He's got to be the leader. Maybe the people who put him there, I don't know.
Well, caller, sometimes too, there are people who are pulling strings behind the scenes, eh?
Yeah.
They know that this figure is a great figure, so they figure, we'll use him, we'll put him there.
But I suspect a lot of that was going on with Biden, These people can't tell me.
Yes, there were a lot of suggestions about that
and
too.
we who watching,
yes,
just watching, we could see well.
Yeah.
And even just I mean, but how can a man that who has achieved so much, has done so much, and people saying no, they don't want him? What it had to do with the image. The man started looking like a robot from from maybe midterm.
Yeah, and he's had some
You could
unfortunate
see his body
situations.
movements
Some of
and
the falls.
and
I mean, some of the the
yeah,
gaffes.
you
So
see, but they tried to prop him up, like
yeah.
you say, because he has his people. They tried to prop him up, but it didn't work, and maybe that happened for the betterment. So we'll see how that go. And then you have I think it was in Malaysia, one of them countries, or Mahathir Mohamad.
Mahathir, yes.
They brought him back where in
He
his
was
90s.
he brought I think I can't remember his exact age when he returnn, but he was certainly
Usually
pretty
we see these
advanced.
people as saviors, for in a certain circle, because in fact it
Yes,
happened to us. We brought back Sir John in
that's
his
right.
80s.
Yep.
But I mean, these things there are no real solutions in them. Bringing back, you can't go back to the future, whatever situation you're in. You simply cannot go back to the future, Calixte. So we need to quit telling the youth the future belongs to them, and make them know the now belongs to them.
Yeah.
And give them whatever advice you could give them. Avail yourself. If they don't take it, they don't take it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to feel you could be in charge, I mean, it's a generational thing. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't happen in the team of sport, because you could see after a while, with all your greatness, you watch at Ronaldo and Portugal and you realize, well, you just cannot tell them, and okay, you're still a great player. Go and play in Saudi Arabia, make your money, but you're not helping the national team.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we could see that, and it's interesting because succession is so very important, and we somehow play that down, and until it becomes a problem, chronic. Anyway, my brother, thank you.
Thanks for that. And you were correct. Yes, Mahathir was 92 years old. Mahathir was 92 years old when he came back as the the Prime Minister of Malaysia.
Yeah.
So quite interesting experiences which we see around the world sometimes. Thanks very much for that contribution.
Okay.
Have a good
weekend,
one.
my brother.
You too. All the best. And of course, we have a couple of minutes left. The number to call in is 4523046. Again, as we look at this issue of age and and also how a system can best be designed to deal with some of these issues, which is exactly why some countries have put in age limits, and in some instances they've also put in term limits to be able to provide some cap, perhaps, in terms of individuals. So especially as we are looking at constitutional reform, and we've been talking about constitutional reform for about 20 years now, if not more, whether in fact a new constitution for St. Lucia should in fact embrace an age limit for leaders. Sometimes there are also limits to, especially for positions like head of state. We've seen sometimes a desire to take an active politician, somebody who may have just served as the prime minister of the country, or maybe the deputy prime minister, or some position like that, and then take that individual and place them or graduate them, if you like, to that of head of state, or whether it's governor general or president. And perhaps that too is another area I know that you would want to have some check in fact, preventing this immediate catapulting or transition from active politics straight into service as a head of state, especially when the head of state is supposed to somehow be this sort of independent individual, an individual that all sides can look to for guidance and support, and of course to ensure that fairness is maintained in governance. So, in some instances too, there are restrictions to say, hey, well, um, you can't just move immediately in from one to the other. You may have to stand out or not be involved in any kind of active politics for maybe 5 years before or something of the sort. So there's lots to look at within this, and perhaps lessons that should be brought forward as we, want or advocate for a better system of governance for our country. And of course, tomorrow, hopefully, we'll be able to touch base with David Shakes Christopher and hear what's going on with boxing. Of course, OECS Boxing Championship that's kicking off tonight, I believe, at the VG Sports Complex. So you can check that out as well. That's all we have for today here at the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calixte George Jr., saying goodbye.